We've covered blatantly rigged moments in sports. However, in a lot of those examples, the evidence presented was subjective. Well, today I have 5 times in sports that were 100%, no doubt about it, fixed. Testimonies, punishments, and all. And their shocking and ironic stories are coming up right after this. Number 5, University of Toledo football and basketball scandal. You know what really helps a scam get started? An inside guy. And that's what known mobsters Gary the Cigarette Manny and Mitchell Steady Eddie Karam had when they rigged both the basketball and football programs at the University of Toledo for nearly 4 years during the early 2000s. Rockets player Adam Cuomo had made some mob connections and originally supplied them with inside info on the team. Once a few introductions were made, the scam turned to full-on rigging of games. In a 1-year period, Manny and Karam admitted to betting over $400,000 on fixed games. Players received varied amounts of gifts and compensation, some reports as low as $600, some as high as $10,000. The fixing was probably at its worst when star running back Quentin Broussard intentionally fumbled during the 2005 GMAC Bowl for a $100 bonus. So if you think a play don't smell right sometimes, I'm with you, dog. The scam was discovered when wiretaps caught discussions on the fixing of games. Manny and Karam pled out to lower convictions, and those 6 players were indicted, including Cuomo. None of them did any time. Oh, and look, sports gambling is legal now, but college players can't get paid. Can't imagine that won't go well. Number 4, Nelson Piquet Jr., Formula 1. Racing's version of sweep the leg came in the form of Nelson Piquet Jr. and a peculiar case of following orders. In 2005 at the Singapore Grand Prix, Renault Formula 1 teammates were middling along near the end of the race. Fernando Alonso pitted while Nelson Piquet Jr., son of the racing legend, wiped out into the wall at turn 17. Alonso would go on to win the race, the team's first victory in nearly 2 years, and little was made about the wreck, with most naysayers being quickly shot down. Piquet said the crash was a simple mistake. Only no, it was much more planned and calculated than that. Piquet was ordered by his team to crash to ensure that Alonso would win. They picked the turn because they knew a safety car would need to be dispatched there, thus bringing on a full caution and vaulting the freshly pitted Alonso to the front. Sneakier than Draymond Green trying to grab a nutsack. And they would have gotten away with it too, but about halfway through the next season, they shit-canned Piquet and he ran to the media about the incident, and things got really ugly from there. Team Renault was banned from Formula 1 for 2 years. Piquet sued them for libel and won, and he would race in the NASCAR Truck Series and has been in various lower level campaigns since, mostly because he is a shitty driver. Put him in a body bag, Johnny. Yeah! All right. Number 3, Arizona State point shaving. Stephen Headache Smith was blessed with a lot of things: dribbling ability, defense, and a sweet jumper. One thing he was not blessed with was good decision making, and his poor choices would lead to some serious consequences for not just him, but for a lot of people. A star guard at ASU from 1991 to 1994, Smith had a weakness: money. He started gambling his senior year and was really bad at it, quickly getting 10 G's in the hole. Squeezed to pay off his gambling debt, Stephen made a deal with his bookie, Benny Silman, a student at ASU who had some ties to the mob. Silman agreed to wipe Smith's debt if he would shave points to ensure ASU won by a certain amount. That was the hook. Smith wasn't getting paid to throw games. In his mind, he was simply winning by less. He recruited a teammate, Isaac Burton, and for almost all of the season, they successfully shaved points and gave no suspicion to their operation. And then one night, things just got out of hand. On March 5th, 1994, Benny and Smith decided to go big. ASU was favored by 11 points over Washington, and all Smith had to do was win by less than that margin, and he would get 40 G's. Problem was, Silman had told his mob connections in Vegas to bet on UW. Smith told his friends. Word got out fast, and when huge action on a regular season Pac-10 b-ball game started getting laid, it was Vegas, not the FBI, who knew something was up. The line moved from -11 to -3 in a matter of hours. ASU head coach Bill Frater had been tipped off about the scandal. At halftime, ASU led 25-23, and coach put it on Smith to prove to him he wasn't a point shaver. And like a dumbass, this dude went out and balled, and ASU won 73-55. Silman and his associates lost over $1 million. Smith was met at his apartment by his bookie and a very large mobster who lost $75K. It was agreed that once Smith went to the NBA, he would pay the man back. Smith went undrafted as the league wasn't interested in a player rumored to be dirty. Amazingly, he didn't end up at the bottom of Lake Havasu, and Smith finally made the NBA in 1997, the same year the scam was finally uncovered. He was arrested and did a year in jail. Silman and the others were indicted as well. After Smith got out, he played in Europe and Turkey and is probably scared of anyone with an Italian last name. Number 2, Tulane gets banned. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. So powerful, in fact, it was used in 1985 to gain the trust of a basketball team so that they would take part in fixing games. Gary Kranz, a student at Tulane, began supplying the team with booger sugar during the 85 season and eventually, through a few connections, got them to fix games. Things smelled fishy and an investigation was launched into what was going on at Tulane. After the season, John Hot Rod Williams was arrested for alleged point shaving, being the main target of the government's probe. Williams was never actually proven to have fixed games, and he would go on to play in the NBA and was eventually acquitted on all charges. What was uncovered, though, was that head coach Ned Fowler was paying his players, and the scandal went beyond point shaving and doing lines of blow. The university, though they had every reason to deny they knew what was happening, acted quickly and shut the basketball program down in a self-inflicted death penalty, really more like a suicide. Fowler claimed he gave money to Hot Rod because his house had burned down. Williams passed away in 2015. Number 1, Toledo. Fixing matches seems so simple, right? You pay a player to play like shit and they go out and do it. Then there is the Italian football scandal of Toledo, which ended in the most ironic way possible. Alvaro Trinco and Massimo Cruciani were two restaurateurs whom many soccer players dined with. In 1980, they hatched a plan to fix soccer matches in Serie A and Serie B by paying players. Unfortunately, they got a lot more than they bargained for. Things didn't go well from the start, as the first match they tried to fix was botched when one of the teams missed their flight. Their second attempt, an intended draw between Palermo and Taranto, ended up being a win. Whoops. With patches of success, the scam kept going, even though it seemed that when they paid the players, they still didn't throw matches. Eventually, Trinca and Cruciani fell so far behind that the gamblers losing money had enough and started threatening them. They also left a mountain of evidence like cash checks to players. This was not going to end well. With violent outlashes towards the two, which included a cart being set on fire, the perpetrators of the scheme did the unexpected. Alerted the authorities of their own scam. The fallout was swift and surprisingly powerful. Though match fixing was technically not illegal at the time, 11 players and team officials were arrested during halftime of live games. In the end, nobody ended up facing criminal charges, but several high-profile players like Paolo Rossi were suspended. AC Milan and Lazio got it the worst as their clubs got relegated. That's like the Seattle Mariners being forced to play in the minors. Bad analogy. That's like Matt Harvey. Never mind. Rossi's 3-year suspension was cut short so he could play in the 1982 World Cup, where he beasted and Italy won. I guess it's a victimless crime if you end up winning, eh? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and if you subscribe, please subscribe all the way. And hit that bell and get notifications all the time instead of occasionally. Why is that even an option? Really, YouTube? Anyways, I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.